Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, 6 Keys to Aligning Smarketing for Revenue Growth. My name is Rachel. I am a digital strategist at Marketing Essentials, and I'm excited to be your facilitator for the webinar today. With us today, we have Patty Cisco, Principal of Marketing Essentials, as our featured presenter for the webinar. Patty Cisco, MBA, is a leading inbound marketing strategist recognized for achieving attributable and predictable results. She is the principal and founder of Marketing Essentials, a seasoned digital agency focused on helping organizations reach revenue goals by using data and remarkable messaging to get traffic, convert visitors to leads, and nurture leads into customers. As a strategist and coach with over 25 years in the fields of marketing, sales, operations, and internet technology, she helps organizations optimize and align their digital marketing and sales programs. She has a BA from Bluffton University and an MBA from the University of Findlay. She is a sought-after guest blogger, webinar, workshop, and conference speaker, and keynote presenter known for delivering upbeat educational programs for audiences across the country that inspire achieving greater results. We would love to hear your questions. Throughout the webinar, you can submit any questions you may have in the questions box on the right-hand side of your screen. We will have time for a Q&A at the end of this webinar, but if you're anything like me, you'll forget your questions by the end. So please shoot us your questions in the webinar questions window, and we will answer them during the question and answer session at the end. Again, thank you for joining us today. Now I'm pleased to hand things over to Patty Cisco.
Thanks, Rachel. I'm excited to be with everybody today, and I'm excited about the great turnout that we have. This must be a really hot topic. As I've worked with folks, I'm finding that they're kind of struggling, if you will, figuring out how to navigate this new world of digital marketing and then how to pull that together, the marketing and the sales teams together. So today we're going to focus on 3 key areas, and the first is we're going to get some insight into what those 6 key Smarketing alignment areas are. What are the 6 core things that you should be really focusing on when you're implementing or managing a digital marketing program? And then we're going to talk about some of those hidden benefits. So I think because this is such a new area, so many people are, struggling to figure out, if you will, where the benefits are and how they can gain from the benefits. And then finally, we're going to wrap up by covering some of the tools that are available today to really make Smarketing automation keep your pipeline full. So let's get started. Why do we want to talk about aligning marketing and sales? Well, I know a lot of our audience members today are actually from the senior living and healthcare industry. And so, specifically we know for that industry overall, there have been huge macro market changes that are really driving challenges in both the marketing and sales areas. And I think that's also occurring in other areas as we work with different clients and different industries. And so the lead generating opportunities are really coming in much earlier in the sales cycle. And that means that requires more customer education and additional touches to really avoid clogging up your sales team or your sales funnel with opportunities that aren't ready to talk to them yet. And so it's about working smarter and working wiser. And so our current funneled opportunities that are coming through from a digital standpoint also require more education because they don't want to talk to you yet. And what they're doing is they're savvy. They want to learn on their own accord. And so we have to figure out how do we reduce their risk or their friction in terms of when to talk to us. And so this requires us to bring a different element to our marketing today in the form of content, so we can help have those conversations before they're ready to talk to us. This helps to build our customer education library, if you will, or our resource, so that we're having consistent messages being used across both your sales and your marketing team, and also, more importantly, information that your particular customer wants to hear that's important to them. I don't know, maybe this looks familiar with your organization, but we see this quite a lot. In fact, I experienced this often in the organizations that I worked for, and that's why I like the word smarketing. Smarketing is really about a strategic alignment between sales and marketing teams for the ultimate impact and growth of an organization. So I think this is a pretty normal feeling or reaction. On one hand, the marketing team's like, I'm working my tush off and I'm trying to generate leads, but you're telling me there aren't, like, I don't have enough leads, for your occupancy or your census. And then you've got on the sales side, you're not generating enough. You're not giving me enough of quality leads that I need to really work harder on and those prospects that are coming through. Well, in many organizations today, we still kind of are in what I would say is old school marketing, and we're lumping anyone together who calls themselves who's managing your prospects. We're naming those people, you're still a marketer, you're just a marketer. But that's really not true, because today, predominantly because of digital marketing, marketing and sales have very, very different functions. And we need to really kind of, in my world, I think, take a step back and really start to understand maybe some of your structural or your organizational alignment with how you have your people aligned. So let's talk about marketing for just a moment. Marketing is the game plan. It's really your overall strategy. It tells people who you are, who you should be selling to, what you should be selling in order to meet your target audience's needs. I mean, simply put, marketing helps you attract and persuade consumers and referrers to you. And marketing is really made up of several areas of expertise. First of all, strategy, being able to understand information, data, and taking that and articulating that into using the right tools in your toolbox, if you will, to help get your brand known and recognized. It's about engagement. How do I get my audience to interact with me? Is it an event? Is it a radio ad? What exactly is it that we can use to get my audience to interact with me? And of course, public relations is still an important part, right? Whether that's press releases, whether that's social advertising, but that PR side is a really important aspect of marketing. And then telling stories. Today, people resonate with a story. They really don't care to hear that we're wonderful or great or good at what we do. What they care to hear about is the story around your brand, and especially stories that other people say about your brand. And that really lends itself to one of the most important elements today from a marketing perspective, and that's really the content. And so marketing today is engaged in creating content that educates, informs, entertains, and is really helpful and relevant to your target audience. And in turn, they take that content and they share it through your digital channels, such as your email, your social, your blog, etc., which helps to grow your brand reach, and in turn positions your organization as the expert, the go-to resource. So that's marketing's role today. They attract and generate quality leads. So that means, what's the sales folks do? Well, the sales folks are the ones who really know what's going on with the competition. They know what is necessary to create a very clear and compelling message that they need to take and share it in order to build a relationship, whether that's a relationship with a referral source, whether that's a relationship with the adult daughter, family, whoever. They understand that I need to build a relationship in order to earn their trust, so in turn they'll close the sale. They'll say, yes, I want to come to your facility for rehab, or yes, I want to move into your independent living, or yes, I want to use your security system. Whatever that yes is, the sales team's job is to build a relationship of trust and close that deal, influencing their decision to buy. And that really takes us to kind of getting an understanding of the difference between what marketing and sales used to be and how it works today. So you're all probably really familiar with this sales funnel. That's nothing new. The difference is what's the relevance to that sales funnel to digital marketing? Well, in history or historically, marketing at the top of the funnel was really quite small. And a lot of that had to do with you already had favorable reputations, people knew you, and in fact, there wasn't a lot of competition. And so marketing didn't spend as much time or investment. However, sales did, because oftentimes you would have a longer sales cycle, so it's going to take sales more time to stay in touch with those potential leads. Well, let's fast forward to today. Thanks to the internet, it has really changed that, because now look at how much time is spent marketing, and that's because your customer's in control. They're the ones who understand clearly how to research, how to educate themselves on what's going on. And so they'll spend their time on your website and your social channels online researching, which is why now marketing is so much bigger, which in turn means that marketing has delivered higher quality of leads to sales to close. So there's really a difference today in terms of the proportion of marketing and sales, which means in turn that their roles have changed. Your customer is the driver of this as well. And that's because, again, because of the internet. People today are searching online. They're using their computers, tablets, smartphones. Funny, I was just talking with a senior living organization. In fact, they were a skilled nursing community this morning, and they said in watching their traffic, almost 80% of all of their traffic is coming through mobile. And let's think about it. It makes total sense, because the adult children or the senior are first finding out they may need those rehab services in the hospital, and they're going on their phones to look. And the potential customer is going to search by maybe a business name or by a service type. They're going to look at comments that have been had about local services before they make their shop of how to continue with their search process. They're looking online to find out valuable information about your particular product or your service before they seek to engage in a conversation with you. So it's really important today, understanding what that buyer is doing, to have a user-friendly website that's mobile responsive, because otherwise you're going to lose the opportunity to reach 89% of your potential customers. So when 60% of that buying process is completed because of the digital experience, by the time they get to you, your salespeople only have to close 40%. Currently, 89% of your consumers do an online search before they buy a service. And I think it's really interesting to look at this. 63% of all females and 73% of all males can't go an hour without checking their phone. So I challenge you today to see how many of you can go 1 hour without picking up your phone. Let's see if you're part of that statistic. Well, what do those customers really want? What are they looking for? They're busy, right? You're busy. If you have a phone, you're busy. You look for resource. You want an immediate answer, immediate gratification. You do your homework before you decide, because you want to be in control. And interesting fact is that 70% of searchers will actually also consult online reviews. So they're looking for what other people are saying about your business before they make a decision to contact you. And they want to get their answers fast. They want easy to access information, and they really trust and listen to what other people say. So how do you cater to this new audience that you now have to deal with because of the internet? Well, I think it's also important to understand some important things about your customer and what they're looking for. And in this particular situation, just a couple of quick facts when you think about especially senior living or healthcare. But I think these same facts, quite frankly, really are reflective of other industries as well. But let's just consider this. 41% of patients said social media would affect their choice of a specific hospital, medical facility, or doctor. That's 41%. That's a significant percentage of your audience who are influenced by that social media factor. 59% of caregivers with internet access use online resources to help them to provide care and support for a family member. So again, if we're in the healthcare industry, it doesn't matter whether it's independent living or it's a home-based service. The fact remains that people are looking for resources to help them manage the care, both for their loved one, but also for their stress in their own situations. I also think it's an interesting one that overall 29% of an audience go to a website that comes up to the top of the search engines in Google before, that's where they go. 29% go to those websites that come up on that first page of Google. They don't go to page number 2, they don't scroll down. They're looking at that first list of 5 or 6 and starting their search there. So again, it really all goes back to what's that mean today for aligning your marketing and sales. I think it's also important to understand how influence impacts your marketing and your sales team today. Again, I think traditional sales is very used to talking about how great they are, the benefits, the features, etc. But again, what the audience really cares about today is they care about what other people say. They are influenced by other people. And really, when you think about what influence means, according to Wiktionary, it's an action exerted by a person or a thing with such power on another to cause change. So, in other words, influence evokes people to do something. And so when you're hearing people talk about their influence, their buying decisions, possibly what they don't necessarily feel comfortable with. So when we marketing and sales, it really boils down to what's that going to mean to an organization? Well, statistically, it's been proven that organizations that align their sales and marketing grow 5.4 points faster than less aligned counterparts when compared with industries in this businesses in the same industry. They close 38% more proposals, and they lose 36% fewer customers compared to their competitors. So definitely thinking about aligning in your sales, you're on the right track simply by joining this webinar today. So what are those 6 key things? When it comes down to aligning that, what should you really be considering overall? Well, the first place starts with goals. And oftentimes what happens is marketing and sales kind of have different ideas of success, or you might see the difference between your maybe leadership team and your frontline marketing and sales team have different views of what success is. And so it's really important to start out your alignment with talking about mutual goals. So, when you think about this, it's really funny. Oftentimes, if we're doing an analysis, I will ask, the marketing coordinator, the marketing director, tell me what's expected out of you. Tell me what, your boss is expecting. And then I go to the boss and I ask the same thing. I would tell you the majority of the time they're not aligned in their goals, and then you kind of wonder why they're not reaching the goals that have been set for them. So it's really, really important to come upon mutual agreement, and you measure lots of things. When you're thinking about your digital alignment between the two, these are just some suggestions. You can, again, measure millions of things, and you don't really want to do that in a digital strategy. You want to keep your focus very narrow on maybe the top 2, 3, 4 things that really are most important. So thinking about brand awareness, or growing my website traffic, or generating leads, or you may have a business that's focused on retaining customers. You may want to improve your lead to sale ratio, or maybe even it's about recruiting employees. So come to agreement on what those goals are going to be. That's really important. And there's kind of two goals that I think are not well recognized or known yet across the industry, but they're very applicable to what I would say a digital program, and that is you want to have your leads broken down into marketing qualified leads versus sales qualified leads. And those become really important goals to help when you're looking at your alignment, because marketing folks should be focused on the marketing qualified lead. That would be a measurement for your marketing team, where your sales team becomes more accountable for the sales qualified lead. And I'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. The second area you want to focus on is the strategy. This is one of the most important areas, and yet what I would say is one of the most frequently that is missed. I mean, without a strategy, what are you going to do? You know, I mean, do you go on a trip without doing some planning around it? And something as important as the investment that you're making in your marketing and your sales teams should work the same way. You know, are you going to randomly just push your services or products and hope for a sale? Do you just build a new website and think that because you have a new website, it's just going to generate those leads for your sales to close? You still need to marry traditional and digital marketing into your overall strategy. It's not a matter of doing all of one or doing all of another. It's about doing the ones that get the result for you. So it's really important with your strategy that you do some homework, that you understand the different tools in your toolbox that are available to be used in your digital strategy. Things such as SEO, and what does that mean? It's not a separate entity. If you just do, quote, SEO itself, it won't generate leads. But when you start to pull all of these tools together, that's when you get synergy. That's when you start pulling traffic to your website. And that's the key. You know, your strategy should be making your website the hub of what you do today and pulling people through it through those different tactics that you use. Also part of the strategy most commonly that we find is that people don't understand what your buyers are doing in your digital strategy. And this is a really important piece, because it's not about just creating content. It's not just about having a Facebook page. It's about understanding, in order to understand what tools do I need to use, I need to understand my customer and how they make decisions online. And so it's important to understand these. It may look very visual to you that it's a linear process. It is not. You all do this when you shop online. You may wake up, think I'm looking for something. You may stay at that top of the funnel, finding different places for a while before you decide to move to the next stage, which is, okay, I think I've narrowed my search down to 2 or 3, and now I'm going to compare those 2 or 3. I'm going to look to make sure they each are able to demonstrate very clear solutions for what my problem is. I'm going to compare which ones have a stronger competitive advantage, etc., for what they're offering. And then at some point in that stage, they're going to convert into from a marketing qualified lead to a sales qualified lead. So in that sales qualified lead, they're in the decision stage. So this is where sales team now steps up. And because remember, if the majority of that buyer decision has already been made, about 60%, this is where your sales team now only has 40% of the close to make. And then once that close is made, regardless of the type of product or service that we all have, there's an element of customer retention. In the healthcare, the senior industry, oftentimes we call this word of mouth, right? You create raving fans, tell other people about us. And so this retention side is really important. And so what strategies do we use to engage that particular audience? So the third phase boils down to your audience. A really successful Smarketing team not only understands your buyer personas, but you really work together to develop them. Every successful digital marketing program has a solid understanding of their audience, who they're targeting, and that both sales and marketing bring something very different and unique to the table to help create those personas. Personas are your audience. It's who I really want to attract. Again, oftentimes we're kind of used to doing shotgun marketing, and we just want to get our name out there and hope everybody who needs us figures it out. But with digital marketing, you want to be much more focused. And so creating personas around, maybe it's the adult daughter who is most often calling you, or maybe it's the senior themselves because they need independent living, or maybe it's this particular business, individual, maybe it's a CEO, maybe it's the supplier, but whoever it is, that is a persona, and what you really want to do is take the time to understand them through research. And oftentimes having conversations with both the sales team and the marketing team will create what we would call a pretty good foundational persona to get started from. The key with a persona is it's an ongoing piece that grows as you gain more understanding about your particular customer. The ideal is to interview your customers and ask the questions that are most relevant to uncovering how they make decisions about your particular service. So when you get the persona, that's what will drive your bus. That's what will tell you what tools to use in your toolbox, how to make that strategy work for you. So the fourth element of aligning your marketing and sales is really what's called a service level agreement. Now, this is a new concept for a lot of industries. Before, again, marketing had their job, sales did their job, and somewhere in the middle they were kind of duking it out. But again, with digital marketing, the difference is you all have real access to data. And you have very different roles. Marketing has a role to create marketing qualified leads that in turn to sales qualified leads for your sales team to work at. And so when you have a service level agreement, it aligns your executive team. So when you're giving reporting to executive meetings, they know exactly what you're going to report on, what those key metrics are, those goals that we talked about earlier. They know exactly what to expect from you as it pertains to the marketing or the sales data. What it does to your marketing and your sales team is it helps them clearly identify what their role is in the process and what their goals are they're each responsible for. Therefore, it starts to engage them together in getting the process done. And so it helps to basically ensure that everybody's on the same page with realistic expectations and outcomes. It helps you to define your customer closing rates or maybe determine a dollar value for each particular lead, identify how many monthly leads both sales or marketing needs to hit, to hit your sales funnel numbers. You can even tie these, quite frankly, to productivity goals. But in the end, what happens is marketing accepts their responsibility for generating marketing qualified leads, and sales accepts that their role is to partner with marketing to take and nurture sales qualified leads to sales, and leadership in turn agrees on a lead scoring model that's used to identify both those marketing qualified leads and those sales qualified leads. So getting everybody on the same page of understanding and realistic expectations in a digital marketing program when you're trying to align your marketing and sales teams is extremely important. The fifth thing has to do with lead nurturing and retention. Extremely important, because remember, in most cases in a digital program, you'll potentially have a longer selling cycle. So for example, if you're independent living, that could be 12, 24, 36 months. If you have a shorter sales cycle, like a post-acute rehab, you're going to have, they're on their way to you and you don't even know it yet already. So that sales cycle is much shorter. So what's really important is to understand what those sales cycles are in order to create the appropriate lead nurturing and retention strategies that you're going to be using. So nurtured leads that I use independent living, for example, somebody who comes through your website, they're not ready to talk to you yet, they're shopping, right? They're in that top of funnel or middle funnel, if you will, buying process, right? This is who we're talking about. They, on average, you can produce a 20% increase in your sales because you've nurtured those leads versus leads that come through and you do no nurturing with. So this is where your opportunity comes to increase the number of qualified leads simply by automated nurturing processes. Now, companies that excel at lead nurturing typically will generate 50% more sales-ready leads at 33% lower cost. And that's because, think about it, in old school lead management, it took the human person to remember to call the person, follow up with the person, send the postcard, like do all of those things. And that is if they remembered and had the time to do them. Where in an automated nurturing process, that automatically happens for them. And so that's where they're gaining, that's where organizations that engage in an automated marketing platform really excel, if you will, in obtaining a greater qualified lead. So let's talk a little bit about what that looks like. I'm a visual person, so for me, when you talk about lead nurturing, like what does that look like online? So let's just kind of walk through very quickly. You as a visitor or your potential prospect is going to have an entry point into your website. You know, whether they found you just simply by searching, whether it was social media, texting, blogging, what have you. They're going to find access to your website. And if they land to your website, what you're typically going to have in a sales funnel oriented website is you're going to have an area that's called a call to action. And in that call to action, which is this box right here, and it's going to be placed in the appropriate places on your website, it's going to have something of value to offer them. Remember, I talked early on about content and the value of content. And so you're going to offer them something that's going to be helpful in helping them in what stage of decision making they're at. When they click on that call to action, what is going to happen is it will take them to what's called a landing page. And in that landing page, there's going to be either a picture or content or information that's going to explain more about the benefits, what they're going to get in that white paper, checklist, tip sheet, whatever it is that you're offering of value to them. Once they fill out, in other words, what they're going to do is give you certain pieces of information that we're going to be asking for. And when they fill that information out and they click submit, they're in turn going to get a thank you page. And that thank you page says, hey, thanks for joining the thousands of other people who have the same question you do, who have found value in this white paper. Hope you do too. And in turn, they're able to download that particular document. So that's the entry point in what's called the lead process as they go through your website. Now, what happens on the back end of that when you're using an automated marketing platform, and this is a value, is that things happen automatically. So all of this has been occurring and you haven't had one human person on your end of sales or marketing at this point have to do anything. Well, either your marketing or your sales or team or both, they're going to receive an email notification that says, hey, guess what? You had somebody who downloaded that important piece. They're not ready to talk to you yet, but just letting you know, you got people who are interested. And in turn, what's going to happen is that particular lead is going to get put into the database, and in turn, all of these workflows that were established because you know your customers so well, you know what series of questions they ask when they talk to you. So think about those series of questions, each of them becoming a different email response that they're going to get over a period of time based upon the length of that selling cycle. This is the value of a lead workflow or an automated process. So within the same process, actually when they're right here, depending upon where they're coming in your website through a sales funnel process, that's where lead scoring comes into play. So depending upon if they enter in the middle of the funnel, the top of the funnel, how many times they, respond to these particular offers that you're giving them, that will determine what a score is for that lead. So that's where marketing is generating the marketing qualified leads to hand over to the sales team. So when that customer decides, I'm ready to talk to you, that is a sales qualified lead that now your sales team is going to pick up and close. So that's why this process right here is extremely important when you're aligning your marketing and sales, because you need both marketing and sales to help develop that lead flow process in terms of what that offer is and what the pain point is of the customer, what that content is going to be, because they have both important knowledge about that information. Number 6, one of the areas that our team loves the most, quite frankly, is about that monitoring and measuring. And so, we never had access to data when we were engaged in traditional forms of marketing, and it was always very much a struggle to figure out what's working and what's not working and how to invest your dollars, especially like right now, this time of the year when you're going through your budgeting process. So the value here is that when you're using a digital program, you can measure every element of touch that you had with that particular customer. So anything that they're doing through that automated process through your website, you're able to measure the effectiveness of it through your marketing automation. So a marketing automation is one set of tools, but your sales team is probably using a CRM or a customer relationship management tool. So this is today where you need both sets of tools, because that's where the two are married together, and that's where marketing generates the marketing qualified lead, hands it off to sales as a sales qualified lead, so it moves from the marketing platform into the CRM platform. That's how the two work together, and the value is you can measure every element of that today. Through what you're doing. So the tool provides the avenue to do the measurement with, but having the expertise to be able to analyze that data to help make good decisions about what content is working in your channels, what channels are working for you. That's really the key of that strategy, because without that content, without that strategy, a dashboard is just a dashboard. Data is this data. And so again, just really give consideration in your digital programs, thinking about the monitoring and the measurement is extremely important, because it's no longer a set it and forget it. It's a constantly dynamic entity that needs monitored, evaluated, and changed on a regular basis. So you've heard me talk about marketing and sales automation. They're really kind of the two hottest buzzwords flying around right now in almost any industry. And those two words fly around along with inbound marketing or marketing automation. Those are kind of two hot buzzwords going right now. And what I really love is Forrest Research actually kind of prefers using the term lead to revenue management, which I think is really, really cool, because that's what it is. That's what these tools do for you, is they generate the leads and in turn create the revenue. It helps to connect what marketing is doing with sales is doing. A marketing platform makes your website your best salesperson. It's no longer a brochure. Your website is actually sometimes that very first impression and the first opportunity to capture and engage your potential lead. It's responsive to your individual buyer's journey, and it maximizes your marketing and your sales efficiency and really provides actionable real-time data through that dashboard that I just showed you. And at its best, marketing automation software and the tactics really kind of allow the companies today to be a little bit Amazonish, if you will. And that really means it's about nurturing those prospects with really highly customized, personable content that's helpful to them, which in turn helps them engage, see you as an expert, and want them to interact with you. Inbound marketing is that term I use, and I kind of go back to this original sales funnel that we talked about, but when you're hearing the words digital marketing program or inbound marketing program, the simplest way I like to really kind of describe that, it's really about delivering helpful, educational, informational content for people to discover online when they're searching for a solution to a problem they have, when you know they're interested in your services. It's really about having the right content in the right channel at the right time, the way your buyer wants to receive it. That's really what inbound marketing is about. It's about that content strategy wrapped around your potential lead. Now, we talked about a few of the potential benefits. You know, it's really clear today that the technologies like marketing automation and CRMs are helping organizations bridge that long-standing gap between sales and marketing. And aligning marketing more closely with your sales only serves to increase the quality of leads that are available to your sales reps. It really helps prevent leads from slipping through those cracks and getting picked up by your competitors. It also helps to shorten your sales cycle and increase your productivity. In fact, there are oodles of statistics around the benefits of aligning your marketing and your sales processes together. And so just to pick out a few that I think are really, really relevant to us, but when companies use marketing automation software, they convert 53% more leads into marketing qualified leads and report revenue growth on average 3.1% greater than companies which haven't implemented a marketing platform yet. And there are many, many companies who haven't implemented a marketing platform yet. I'm guessing in each of your industries that you're in. And that's because it's so new. So a marketing platform today really does give you that competitive, innovative, technological edge that most CEOs are looking for to kind of tout about their companies. It does help to shorten your sales cycle. It increases the productivity because think about it, sales receives higher qualified leads that they can spend their time on closing versus doing more cold prospecting or simply just calling to meet those call quota needs. So lots of data that supports the benefits overall of a marketing or a sales platform. Now, a couple of things I think that's important of, just was recently talking with a VP of marketing, and part of their challenge is time management. You know, they have limited sales and marketing staff, and so how do they maximize the use of digital marketing? How will digital marketing, right, make them more productive and efficient? So some of the things that happen when you use marketing automation is it takes repetitive tasks out of the marketer's hands. Therefore, they can focus on other things. It does allow for more segmented, focused targeting of your leads and prospects, which is something that's very difficult to do with traditional marketing. Overall, it delivers better email marketing. And email marketing is still very, very relevant today. I know I hear people say, oh, it doesn't work for my audience, etc. However, I will tell you statistically, it is proven that email marketing is still one of the most favorable digital tactics available. There is the reduction of human error. You know, I don't know how many times I hear folks say, if I could just get my folks to fill in the CRM information, you know, data in, data out. So when you're thinking about at least lead generation from a digital side, there is no human error because it's automatically happening within your system. So lots of positive research that supports the benefits of using marketing automation. So talk about some costs, right? Again, that's really at the end of the day what some of the most important decision makers factors are when we think about automating our processes or aligning our processes is there's a cost to it. Well, it's proven overall that the average cost per lead by company's side is far more cost-effective using an inbound digital marketing program that's aligned with your sales than simply traditional costs. Average cost per lead when you're thinking about a digital lead is about $143 compared with the average cost of a traditional lead is $373. So what this kind of maybe should beg the question in your mind is, okay, what's my customer acquisition cost? That's a factor that I would definitely be starting to add to your process of determining is what does it actually cost you to acquire a customer today? And what are the overall results? So it's really, really interesting. Look at nonprofits, look at the B2C, look at what the return on investment is for organizations that are engaging in inbound marketing compared to organizations either that aren't or that are just getting started. So overall, lead for lead, if you will, inbound marketing is far more effective in generating a higher quality of lead and a higher return on investment than your standard traditional marketing. So we talked about what the benefits are. Let's talk about, the marketing and the sales platforms, because if you don't have a CRM or you're not happy with your CRM or you don't have a marketing platform, what should you consider as you're starting to evaluate these facets? So thinking about it, marketing and sales together, Smarketing aligned, that's the goal. You want the two tools should talk. A CRM and the marketing platform should be integrated so they're functioning together. You want them to have easy mobile access. So if your sales reps are out and about in the car, if they're making sales calls, you don't want them to waste time sitting at a desk doing things. You want it to be real time. So you want to make sure that you have a mobile-friendly platform. You want to make sure that again, this next one, allowing your sales reps to focus on closing and automated marketing to focus on nurturing. This is what I would say is a people process that you really need to establish some protocols, processes, new systems around to refine those roles between marketing and sales because of the integration of a marketing platform and a CRM. You want to make sure that you have easy, clear reporting. I can't tell you how many systems can do extremely 20 million thousand reports, but in the end, people don't look at 20,000 million reports. They look at certain key reports for what they need. So you want to be very cautious when you say, I want all these reports, because I have yet to see organizations, once things get rolling, that they're really using the full robustness of a very expensive program that potentially they put into place. You want a system that really allows you to deliver the right content in the right time and the right channels for your prospects. So it can be personalized, customized. Sometimes you hear it called smart content, but not all automated marketing platforms are right, just like not all CRMs are alike. So it's really important to understand, how those platforms work with your channels and your content. And then I think this is just kind of a side note, but the companies that utilize a CRM system increase their sales by 29%. So it's one thing to have a CRM, it's another thing to fully utilize a CRM. And again, data in, garbage out, right? So most of the time, I usually get asked this question, how to get my sales reps to use the CRM, and really it goes back to the why. If people don't understand why I'm using it and see the benefit in that data, they're not going to be engaged fully where you want them to be and taking advantage of that particular software. A couple other things to consider, we kind of touched on this a little already, but does it integrate with your CRM? Not all marketing platforms do integrate with every CRM, especially if you're in a specialized industry. And so you really want to make sure you understand what integration means and what limitations may be around that. How easy is it to create assets for your marketing program? So assets have to do with content. And where do I put that content? Emails, landing pages, how complex is it to manage? Do I need to know HTML? Do I need to have a web developer? What do I need to do to make for mobile optimization? So there's a lot of technical aspects to integrating a CRM and a marketing platform together, as well as just simply how that marketing automation platform operates separately. If you don't have a CRM, is there marketing automation platforms that include a CRM. I can tell you we are actually a HubSpot certified agency, and as such, HubSpot is a marketing automation platform, and it does have a CRM in it. And so for organizations who don't have a CRM or who don't like their CRM, it's a perfect solution because everything is all fit together. So that's an important piece to consider. And I think, when you have issues, how hard is it to get support for your team? You want to work with a marketing automation or a CRM vendor who doesn't charge you for every call that you make, especially at the onset of getting things set up. You want to make sure that they really are a business partner with you and are just as excited about helping you be successful as you are with fully utilizing their tool. And I think, kind of one of the final thought I want to leave with you a little bit here with this alignment is that one of the biggest challenges when you're thinking about aligning your sales and your marketing is that you have existing staff that has existing skill set. But when you're moving into a digital marketing program, it takes a different skill set. And so this is all the different skill expertise that it actually does take to manage and execute a digital marketing program. And so maybe you have 2 or 3 of these people, but you don't have the others. And this is typically where the majority of organizations align themselves with a digital agency like Marketing Essentials, for example, who has that expertise, that strategy, can fill those gaps in those other areas, because I've yet to find organizations that can hire every one of these positions to really execute a full marketing program.
Alrighty, well, thank you for all of that helpful information, Patty. We have had several questions submitted to us during the webinar, so let's go ahead and share those now. The first question is from Kelly. You mentioned setting goals. How do we know which goals make sense to set with all of the things that can be measured in digital marketing?
That's a really great question because there are lots of goals that you could be choosing. But the goals, I think, really go back to what is your organization ultimately trying to achieve with a digital program. It's just like anything else you do in business. It's not a one-size-fits-all to cure all ills, if you will. And so, if you get a goal, if somebody says, oh, I want to increase my occupancy, well, the question is, how does that goal translate into a digital goal? And that may be depending upon what your digital presence is. So if you have no digital brand presence whatsoever online, your first goal is really going to be about creating brand awareness, getting traffic, getting found. Where if you're an organization where perhaps maybe you have doing some elements of a digital program and you have brand presence, but you're not getting leads, so therefore your goal may be more specific to generating leads.
Our next question is from Chip. He asks, I noticed that you did not have PPC as one of the tools or tactics that can be used. Why is that?
Probably more of an oversight, and thanks for bringing that to my attention. Pay-per-click, that's what PPC is if you're not familiar with it, is a tool in the toolbox. When you're thinking about a digital program, again, it goes back to looking at all the tools and determining which tool to use at the right time. And so oftentimes people will use pay-per-click on a regular, consistent basis, and yet when it comes down to seeing any results for them, they're paying a lot of money for little results. So typically a pay-per-click has a greater value when you're using it for a short-term, very focused kind of campaign strategy versus kind of an ongoing. Obviously there's exceptions to the rule based upon your type of business.
Our last question is from Terry. Which tool is more important, the CRM or the marketing platform?
Ooh, tough question. I'm not sure that I would put more weight over one than the other. I think it depends on where you're at as an organization. If you have neither a CRM nor an automated marketing platform, then I would look to have one tool that contains both so that you can begin to align both your sales and marketing at the same time. If you're an organization, obviously, that has a CRM, it's entrenched in your culture, then what I would do is start to look for an automated marketing platform. That's kind of how I would, it's dependent upon every business and where you're at and what you're doing.
Thanks, Patty. Do you have any final closing thoughts for today?
Yes, Rachel, thanks for reminding me. So again, kind of the one place that you really want to start to think about as you're evaluating aligning your marketing and sales is potentially what do I have? What does my data look like? What is my information telling me? Who's doing what? And so a digital audit is the ideal place to start to get benchmark data to really help develop the strategy and answer the questions to how you need to align your marketing and your sales, or what tools might work for you. So that's one of the special things we would like to offer our participants who are on the call today, is if you're interested in talking about a digital audit, we are offering a special $250 off. Again, no obligation, but again, it's kind of like if you're sick and you go to the doctor, you're going for them to figure out what your solution is. You just don't want them to write a prescription for a drug. You want them to do some tests and get to the root of the problem. And that's really the best place to start when you're thinking about aligning your marketing and your sales, is what does the data tell us? What information do we need to do? The other avenue to kind of think about, if you're just kind of starting to tip your toe into inbound or digital marketing, we do have this really great, awesome white paper that many people have found very, very helpful to kind of start to frame what a digital program is, how it works, etc. So you can access this free white paper at mktgessentials.com, and that's yours free for your reading.
Great. Thank you, Patty, for spending this time with us today, and thank you all for attending. If you are interested in a digital audit, give us a call today at 419-629-0080. Thanks again for joining us this afternoon.